Hello to all of you parents out there today. I find myself squinting. It's so bright out, but I wanted to come and talk to you today about parenting your adopted children, calming them down, and connecting with them. The reality is I have really loud dogs. So sorry. The reality is oftentimes our adopted children feel very misunderstood, and that causes them to behave in ways that cause us to feel rejected, and ultimately the relationship ends up with distance that we don't want, right? We don't want the distance in the relationship, and yet there it is. The distance is there. So how do we build that bridge, reconnect, neutralize the environment, and have the relationship that we want with our children? My name is Brooke Fremouw. I'm an adoptive mom to 11 really amazing kids, and I love calming the chaos in hearts and homes of other adoptive families. It's what I do, so if that's something that you're interested in, check out my Facebook page, look for the link there, and set up a strategy call. I'd love to talk to you a little bit more about what's going on in your home specifically, okay? With that being said, let's go ahead and dive into today's content. Calming your child. So here's the deal. That infers that your child is already dysregulated. And you'll want to watch back a video about resilience. I have a video on my YouTube page, on my Facebook page, that talks about resilience in parenting the adopted child. But when we talk about dysregulation, we're talking about outside of our threshold of tolerance, which means we're moody, we're more irritable, we're sensitive, and ultimately we react. We're highly reactive. And if that sounds like your child, we need to get your child regulated, right? Because no matter what you say, it's wrong. And no matter what you do, your child is annoyed by you. Your very existence is annoying. And you know what? It stinks to feel like a parent that just can't win, right? Have you ever felt that way? It doesn't matter if you compliment your child or whether you ask them to do something, or honestly, it doesn't matter. You could cook them their favorite meal and they're going to be like, where's the potatoes? You know, sometimes you just feel like you can't win. So here's a couple things that I do in my household with my children that really does work. And I teach these strategies in depth with my clients, but we want to build a bridge, okay? We want to build a bridge, and the reality is we're the mature ones, we're the adults, we're the ones that have coping skills and strategies, and so we want to extend the bridge as far as we can in their direction to where all they have to do is step onto it. And once they step onto it and there's a partnership that's coming from both sides, then we can get our children to do more of the actual work. But the reality is a lot of the work has to come from us in the beginning because, like I said, they're dysregulated. They don't have an ability that we do have. So one of the first things I try to do is, instead of telling my children what to do, I ask. The way that our children see it, especially when they're little, right, is we tell them what to do. Go get your shoes. Good job, you got your shoes. Okay, put your dish in the dishwasher. And it starts with us telling them these basics when they're little, right? And we have to tell them when they're little. We have to simplify our speech. We have to be clear of expectations. And then we reward the heck out of them when they do a really good job. Well, as your children come into adolescent years, they have their own thoughts, their own feelings, their own opinions, their own ideas about what they want to do with their time, and they don't want you telling them what to do. Have you noticed? I know I noticed. And so they see it like this. You put yourself up here, they are down here, and you are telling them what to do, constantly pushing them down. But a part of adolescence is our children want to rise up. They want more responsibility. They want more freedoms. They want more independence. And so they start to test against that, right? So what we can do, instead of having them push up against us, we can voluntarily bring ourselves down a level. And by asking, we do that. It desensitizes the tasks at hand, right? It helps them to neutralize their test of authority in their life, their test of what they want to do, simply by asking. So instead of saying, the trash is full, take out the trash, you would say, hey buddy, would you mind taking out the trash? It's kind of overflowing. My tone is different. My intent is more playful, right? By softening my language, I've been able to neutralize the response that otherwise we might get. Does that make sense? Another example, big chores, mowing the lawn. Every single Saturday, our lawn needs to be mowed. And so you would think that a child would just get up and go mow the lawn on Saturday. Then they don't need to be nagged, right? That's common sense for you and I. But for them, they don't want to. It's not their lawn. They don't see the long-term purpose of it. If it just has to be done again next week, why don't we just leave it? Who cares if the grass is short or long? They don't care. Their relevance, the things that matter to them are different than what matters to you and I. So every single Saturday, I ask, hey buddy, what time were you going to do the lawn today? It's a gentle way of reminding that the expectation is that it gets done, and then I get a commitment out of my child as far as when they're going to do it, and I do it in a way that doesn't test their authority. It actually empowers them to do what works best for them. Okay, so asking and softening your language, those are some critical things that I do. Another thing that I do is incorporate compliments, right? So I'll go up to my daughter, hey, beautiful, how's my pretty girl today? And I check in on her, and I do that throughout the day. Another thing, wow, I really like the clothes that you've been wearing lately. I see what you're doing there with that fashion, right? I build them up. I spend time looking at the things that they're trying to do as they evolve into the person that they're becoming, and I acknowledge it and I praise them for it everywhere I can. If my daughter does an exceptional job making her bed, believe you me, I'm going to let her know. If she does a beautiful art project, I'm going to let her know. Anything I can do to help build that bridge in her direction is going to make her more willing to come in my direction when I need her to. So compliments, that's the other thing that I do with my children. I ask and I compliment. And then the last strategy I want to leave with you today is using I feel statements. So when there is conflict and something is definitely wrong with your child, saying, what's wrong with you? Never going to go over well. It's never, ever going to be received well. Or if your child's being passive aggressive, saying, dude, what's your problem? What are you doing? I know it's instinctual, but it's not going to help your situation. You want to do things that are actually going to help the relationship and build a bridge of communication. So instead of saying, what's your problem? Where's your attitude coming from? Why are you looking at me this way? Do you see the common word in all of those sentences is you? We want to avoid statements that have you in them and use statements that have I feel in place of you. So it would look like this. Wow, babe, I feel like something's a little off today. Is there anything you want to talk about? Right? No, I'm fine. Oh, I must have misunderstood the circumstances. If there was something going on and you wanted to talk about it, I just want to let you know that I'm here for that. But, I'd really appreciate some friendly communication. Do you see how I didn't accuse anything of her? I just asked and I gave her opportunity. Let's see, what would another example of that be? Child throws the remote control down and is moody about it, right? And instead of saying, what are you doing? Instead of that, hey buddy, are you okay? Is everything all right? Where are you going? I feel like maybe something's going on. Is something going on? Right? So again, it's opening up the door, open-ended questions, and sitting and allowing the silence to just be there. Anytime we say you this, you that, right? I'll even play it off sometimes. I'd be like, wow, that remote control must have been horrible towards you today. I'm so sorry that remote treated you in a way that was unfair. Right? Like it adds a little levity to the circumstance. Instead of making what they do and nitpicking on it and nagging, by backing down, adding some levity to it. And here's the thing, moms, it takes practice and intent. It's not something that if you're not used to putting on those perspectives and working actively on building a bridge, it doesn't come natural for most of us. Most of us were parented with a heavy hand, were we not? My parents told me what to do. They never asked me. But the reality is when I ask my children what to do, I am telling them. If they don't respond appropriately, then I have to pull out my heavy hand, right? But I'm giving them the opportunity to do it in a way that encourages the relationship and encourages communication first. And I only go to the heavy hand if I have to go to a heavy hand. All right, so let's recap these. We've got asking questions instead of telling people what they're doing. We've got compliment, 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 and then use I feel statements whenever you can in order to address any conflict that you see, any behaviors that you see, and leave a lot of open-ended questions so that these kids have space to be able to open up if and when they're ready. I hope that those things helped you. Again, I would love to do a strategy call with you. So if that's something you want to spend about 45 minutes talking about the dynamics in your household and seeing what we can do to help dial down the temperature and get you more connected with your adopted child, I'd love to hear from you. Thank you so much for your time. You guys have a fantastic weekend.